Welcome to You Can't Break Us, the podcast sharing real stories of parental alienation and family court injustice. I'm your host, Kaylin Hawkinson. Each episode, I sit down with brave guests who open up about their personal journeys, the pain, the resilience, and the fight for justice. These stories are raw, real, and powerful because speaking out is how we break the silence and remind the world, you can't break us.
And here I work with kids. I'm a behavior analyst. I deal with difficult kids. I work with families. So I tell this supervisor who's now in my home, I'm like, so what is it you're going to teach me? What do you need me to do? What are you correcting? Right? Well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I work with kids for a living. So, this is all allegatory. This is a joke in my opinion, but I know you have to be here. So let me help you check your boxes. What do you need me to do? What tricks? What tricks do I demonstrate? And she
Right.
goes, "Oh, I don't have anything. I'm just here to see what you do wrong." Okay, so what are those things? Like what? That is pretty nebulous. What? So if you don't like the way I spoke to you, now that's me being a bad parent? Like no, like you're. I got on her one day because my daughter was literally saying like I need to go to the bathroom, but I don't want to do it while she's here. And I'm like, it's okay, baby, it's private. Like I'll stand in front of the door. And she was nervous. She didn't want that woman there. And I finally looked at her and I said, could you please step outside so my child can go to the restroom? Well, no, I'm supposed to supervise you. And I said, I know, but she's very uncomfortable with your presence.
It can
So
make the
what do you
kids
want me to do?
uncomfortable. Yeah.
And then, well, I can't do anything. I said, did you hear that? I told my daughter, did you hear that, honey? This lady won't leave. So here, I'll block the door. It's okay. We got it. We got it. How about all
Mm,
that? That lady gave me a
yeah.
horrible report in court. Luckily, I was able to, combat it and counter it. But yeah, all because I would push her. I would push her on those things.
Well,
Why are we doing this? What do you
you're
know
not,
about that? Tell me your qualifications. Oh, you went to an 8-hour
yeah.
course? Yeah, okay, great.
And you're not doing anything wrong as a parent. Like any normal parent in a situation would be like, my child is uncomfortable with this. Can you please step back or whatever? Oh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's horrible. How dare you? Because the
right.
spotlight is on you to try and point out every little bad thing. And so it's just so a different scenario. But yet she could be doing all kinds of things, but the spotlight isn't on her to,
Yeah, yep.
analyze that. So you're the one who the spotlight is on, so you're going to be painted bad. That's just how it's set up.
Well, and the idea that one of the provisions was that it could only be me and my kids in the home. Nobody else could be there. I'm like, well, that's convenient. So the court believes you, but I've got no witnesses? Huh. I'm on the spot, but I've got nobody backing me up, but you can say whatever you want. My I was taking care of a friend's dog at the time, and my daughter was excited. One of the visits, my daughter was excited about it, and the dog happened to jump up as my daughter was reaching down, and the teeth hit her thumb, and she bled a little bit.
Hmm.
That came up in court, as though I was a negligent parent because my child's thumb was hurt by a dog.
Yeah.
It was just like that's the mindset. You're just trying to prove the allegation now. You're not trying to
Hmm.
combat it. And you have no parenting experience, no knowledge of anything. You took a course in order to charge people that were having a tough time money so they could see their kids. She would show up
Hmm.
with these wonderful leather riding boots in her Jaguar, and it's like, wow, lady, you're raking it in on people's misfortune. That's amazing.
Jeez.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, uh, again, alienation. My
Yeah.
dad needs some other strange lady to be here so we can see him.
Hmm.
That's disgusting. I mean, that is
Yeah.
brutal. And especially if somebody
Yeah.
takes that attitude. This is an aside. But as part of my medical services company, we want to do some different lines of service, and we're actually looking into getting into supervised visitation to do it the right way because we actually do parenting education. We
Hmm.
understand how to manage behavior. That's what we do, and I am
Yeah.
looking into that so we can do it the right way. And once I get
Yeah.
established, I have every intent to call out everybody else that I've experienced who I know was doing this to profit on people's misfortune. It's pretty
Yeah.
disgusting.
And
Yeah.
that's the point, to do it the right way. It's not that, we're talking specifically about this dynamic where there's alienation involved or a narcissist. That's different than a normal. there are cases out there where it truly is supervised due to actual
Thank you for saying that.
bad
Absolutely.
cases.
Absolutely.
So just to bring it back to the point that this is specifically about these type of scenarios where it's not warranted. There's no evidence. There's nothing provoking this, making this happen besides due to one parent that is just intentionally interrogating you, trying to paint you
Mhm.
bad, making it as bad as possible. That is a completely different scenario. So, but it's not that there's never needed supervised or
For
all
sure.
that stuff in
For
place
sure.
for other
Yeah.
types of cases.
No,
um
and again, thank you for clarifying that. I think that's been part of the frustration of the journey is being immediately pigeonholed. I'm facing
mhm.
that now, right? So, hey, I'm going back to court to do a child support modification. The other party decides to file for enforcement with child support services. Now I'm a deadbeat dad that doesn't pay his child support, even though I
Yeah,
could bring up the record right now. There hasn't been a payment missed in, you know,
it's right back to that
9
fear.
years or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm on the defensive now. Now I'm a deadbeat
right.
dad. Now my wages are being garnished. I haven't missed a payment, but the other party filed for enforcement. Now my wages are being garnished. What does
Yeah,
my
and
employer
right,
think of me?
right, right back
Luckily
to
that
that topic earlier of how it's like you're always in this have to live this self-defense mechanism
yeah.
because we know even the simplest things are going to be twisted and turned against us. And a normal co-parent is just living life, daily life. Oh, things happen, we can resolve it. But for us, here's the normal situation. Here's us always on high alert because we know every little thing is going to be blown out. And
Yeah.
it's awful to have to live that way.
It's very hard. It's very hard, and it's awful to not be able to just be able
A
to
parent.
express, myself and say like, hey, that's BS. Why are you doing that? Oh, now you're being
Hmm.
aggressive. Now you're being okay. Actually, I'm defending myself, and
Right.
and I've proven it's okay. I'm using an appropriate tone. I'm not using any curse words, but you're still responding the same way. Why? Because I'm calling you out. Yeah, because of your
Yeah.
narcissistic personality, you
Yeah.
don't like to be exposed. I'm very
Yeah.
sorry, but I need to expose you here. And
Well, and
yeah, it is. It
they don't allow us to just parent. You're just not
yeah,
allowed to be a parent. That's what it even comes down to. They are not allowing you to be even a parent. I mean, it just made me think of this other example. There's so many over the many years, obviously, but even just the fact that, and maybe you're not experiencing this, or maybe you are, but I've experienced where, the narcissist parent is teaching the children wrong behaviors and blaming you. And even school, for example, he started having him miss school. And in a different case prior to the last one, that was part of the evidence. He was neglecting things like medical school, blah, blah, blah. And so we modified it to enforce it a little more where, okay, you cannot just do that. You have to have the mother. I got a little more rights to where like 50-50 more of where it had to really enforce
yeah.
that and go through me and it because he was failing. I mean, he was backtracked, everything bad. So then to twist that, his dad would be like, well, I would let you miss school today. I'm going to have a movie day. I would let you, but you have to ask your mom. I would get calls from my son, upset,
Wow.
crying because why don't you let me miss school? Why don't you? I mean, the simplest things that people don't think of or aren't aware of as school, that you have to go to school. You have to, every child is going to school, and yet the alienator is painting this child's
Yeah.
mind. Oh, my light went out.
Yep.
That, oh, but I'm the bad parent because I'm forcing my child to
Yeah.
go to school,
In
which every
school.
child does. I mean, it's just mind blowing the type of scenarios that happens.
Um, you you're making me think of stories now.
Yeah,
Um,
I know we could go down a
the
whole rabbit hole of this, I'm
No,
sure.
man, it's just just early on, just the deception, I guess, has been a theme in the don't tell your dad for me. Don't tell your dad about that. Don't tell him about this. That's happened even recently. This is a again, I can see where maybe this is a little bit nitpicky on my part, but I have reason to be because it just needs somebody to follow the agreement along with me. But my kids are teens now. One of them's even over legal age, and that means that reasonably so, if they were living in a traditional household with both of their parents, the idea that their parents might leave town and leave them at home alone
Mm.
to take care of the house makes total sense. And then there's our circumstance, which is my daughter's still a minor child. Her brother is not her legal guardian. Your mom and I am. We're your legal guardian. So if you're going to, if, for the other party, if you're going to be out of town for the weekend on one of your weekends,
Mhm.
legally, I should know that what the situation is. And actually, ideally, I should give permission because otherwise my daughter should be safe with a supervised household because my son is not her legal guardian. Well, as much as I can say that till I'm blue in the face, I know that just 2 weeks ago, and it puts my daughter in an awkward situation because rightfully so, she's a teenager. So back
Mhm.
to your situation, I'm now prohibiting the movie and the missing school. I'm prohibiting
Yeah.
the being home without the parent at home. And it's like we just, to my daughter, it's like we just have to do this the right way, honey. Like you need to understand I'm not trying to make this more difficult. It's just that we have a pattern. There's a pattern of alienation. I don't tell her that, but it's like there's a pattern that
Right.
needs to be corrected here. You
Mhm.
should be able to tell me, well, but my mom says that you're going to get mad. How do we know that? Well, you're mad right now because I wasn't told. See, if you
Yeah, and
tell
it's
me, then we can work this out. And yes, I should be. I can be. I have a right to be upset that I wasn't told that the plan was to not tell me. But if you ask me, the idea that I can't have you come spend more time with me, yeah, that might be more frustrating for me. But
yeah.
I still deserve the chance to say yes or no. And the fact
Yeah.
that you're being told I don't need to know, therein lies the problem,
Of
And it's
course.
so
That
subtle. It's so subtle,
yeah.
but it's such a strong jab.
And subtle things still create alienation. That's what that's
Yeah.
doing. And teaching the
Yep. Yep.
child, like you said earlier, like you're less than, like you don't matter
Yep.
as much, or your parenting is
Absolutely.
not an authority like the other parents. I mean, there's no
Um,
respect there.
you make me think of other little things like,
No, I know. I am too. There's so many things that have
hey,
happened.
there's this movie coming out. Oh, we can't watch it with you because we're going to watch it with our mom. Hey, there's it's just every little it feels like
Hmm.
every little opportunity she has to demean, lessen, push me down, she'll
Hmm.
take. Make the kids withhold information from me, lie to me flat out.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. And then when I talk to my kids about it, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be uncomfortable by default. And if I
Hmm.
don't say anything about it, then I'm letting it be. And man, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. We're in
Yeah,
an impossible situation. I mean, no one teaches you how to navigate scenarios dealing with alienation, and especially because we don't want to, like mentioned earlier, we're not going to go to the child and be like, your other parent is doing blah, blah, blah. We don't badmouth the other parent. But that's what they do. That's all they do. And so this child is learning from that parent. For me, that was just ethical, moral. I don't do that. I don't agree with that. So
yeah,
I had to figure out how to navigate every situation without bad mouthing his dad. And it's like, but he's bad mouthing me, painting me that I'm doing all this stuff that I'm not doing. How do we navigate this with the child?
yeah.
It basically, there's just scenarios I had to be defeated knowing like he's going to look at me like I'm the bad one, even though I didn't do that. But I can't say your dad is lying to you, your dad is doing blah blah blah. So it's very hard.
I it I am not skilled. I had to choose to simply stop talking about the other party because I just got myself into trouble. maybe I'm too candid. I don't know, but I inevitably it's like I'm gonna start. But your mom, and then it was like, yep, there I'm going down that hill again, and
Yeah.
I just need to stop. And that was the best thing I could have done. And it took me a long time. I think it's been maybe a little over a year where I can honestly say um, I haven't literally haven't talked to my kids about their mom in any way, or if at all, in a very mild manner.
Hmm.
And that's also weird, right? So the idea that now they might mention things about the other household, and all I do is go, okay, that's great, you know, which is
Hmm.
awkward. It's detached. I have to be
Right.
because otherwise I'm going to say something stupid. And
Yeah.
and I hate to admit that, but I think it's the best thing I can do is know that I am carrying that frustration. I am carrying that, you know, anger, for lack of better phrasing. And
Hmm.
it hurts to not be able to express it freely because I can never release it. It's just always there, and then the source of it never goes away.
Yeah.
This is what our whole conversation's been about, is that feeling
Yeah.
of constant, like, just being belittled and having less, and this sort of non-custodial just existence. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Hmm.
um and to have, otherwise people see me out with my kids, or just see how dedicated I am and tell me that and be like, wow, man, you're such an invested father, to all your kids. Like, phew, thank you. If only, can you go tell can you
Right.
write that down and go tell
Go
go
and
tell
sign,
somebody.
get it notarized. Let's have it
Maybe I should
laminated.
go on a podcast. Maybe I should start a
Yeah.
podcast.
Have it in the background of your podcast so everyone can see all the time. See?
I'm not,
Yeah.
man, I am not perfect. I don't think I'm saying that. I don't think you think I'm saying
No,
that.
no,
I am
no.
not perfect. I have
No
made
one is.
tremendous amount of mistakes. But I'm standing and I'm dedicated, and I can speak freely about this idea of alienation because I don't want any other kids to go through this. If this
Right.
information if listening to either one of us can make somebody go, man, I got to stop doing that. That's stupid. It would mean the world to me. It's just
Yeah.
so damaging. It's so damaging. And my kids are, I mean, they're pretty well adjusted. I'm, again, very fortunate. And despite our best effort, clearly, maybe not intentional, to make these kids just be the victims of high conflict divorce, we're lucky. They're actually decent. They're very decent human beings. Um,
Yeah.
but I know that I know that things could have been different. Things could have been easier. Things could have been more harmonious. And that probably would have taken an effect. I wouldn't change my kids. I wouldn't trade them in for anything. I wouldn't change anything about them.
Right.
I have to wonder, would they have excelled differently? Um, I
Yeah.
know this affected them. I know it did. I know it did.
It it definitely does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
no matter what, whether it's alienation, even even an amicable divorce affects children. So when you add variables to that, that's more things that affect a child. So no matter what,
Yeah.
it's these situations
Yeah.
are hard to navigate, and it just be nice that there's something more in place through providers, courts, whatever, to help children through this more. And because there are studies, therapists that show and say that there's long-term effects that
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so, I mean, even suicide, that's one where it can be known that a child going through a high conflict, divorce, whatever, or an alienated situation can become is higher susceptible to being, drug addict or suicidal, having those internal conflict feelings. And so obviously we want to find ways to help and prevent this as best as we can, or something needs to change. And I keep
Kids are
saying
gonna
that I don't have
figure
the
it out.
answer
Yeah.
specifically, but something.
I think the answer is, I mean, I think you're presenting a route to an answer. People have to talk about this.
Hmm.
As awkward as it is, as without invading each other's privacy. The idea that marriage family therapists or court mediators, all those people, there needs to be a mindset change. There needs to be a, hey, not having access to both parents um, is going to be a problem. The only reason we're doing this is because we're trying to protect the child from the allegations made against one parent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and let's, you made the point. How do we actually prove this? How do we provide support for this? Because ultimately it's addressing the situation. And all the court does right now is split it. Oh, you're in danger. We're gonna, hey, the stove is hot. You're gonna burn yourself. We're gonna move you away from it, and that means you could never cook again. How do we get the child back to this stove? To
Mm-hmm.
use a very poor analogy there, because without that, how does a parent learn to be a better parent? Yeah, they have parenting classes.
Yeah.
Pretty general stuff. Just a box to check, to use your language. There's more that can be done. There's more that can be
Yeah.
done. And I think it starts with the idea that if there are two parents in a marriage that's about to dissolve and there's children in the middle, those children, by nature, by definition, need and require both parents somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And if one parent is truly unfit, how do we improve the fitness of that parent? Because long term, that child, those human beings are going to be better off with access to two parents. And,
Yeah.
that's all there is to it. That I don't have
Exactly.
the answers either. I think you're, hopefully capturing enough information that if people start to listen,
Mm-hmm.
somebody might say, "Yeah, wow, look at that story. That's like my story." And how can I change? What can I do to change the situation? When you're dealing with a high conflict other parent, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could say that I'd found, a stable flow. It ebbs and flows. It comes and goes. Right now, we're not in a good situation. Right now,
Yeah.
I lament the fact that my daughter may not get a graduation party like my son did, where she's got both parents in one situation, and extended family from both sides in one location. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. It was, harmonious. It was great. And then we opened up I opened up the issue of child support modification, and I guess that was my mistake. But I don't know what else you're supposed to do. Hey, I can't pay you for two kids. There's only one minor kid between us. What can we do?
Yeah.
And there we go again. Now I'm back to being an abuser addict that doesn't deserve more custody of his minor child, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely needs to pony up the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
it's a
kind
tough
of
place to be.
funny. I mean, not funny, but funny how
Not
if
funny,
you
haha.
go right, but if you go back to court or if something's happening like this or a scenario where they basically could feel threatened or like they'll be exposed, they all of a sudden bring back the old script book of, oh well, he's doing
Um,
this, 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 this. It's
Yep.
like they revert back and throw everything that they can at you, and it's just crazy to see because when am I doing that? When did I do that?
Yep.
You say whatever you can to win the case and just which is hurting the children. So I don't understand it why you would not yeah, why you wouldn't
I would have, yeah, I
encourage
would
a
have had to go in
relationship.
with, yeah, I would have had to go in with statements from my wife. I would have had to go in proving, already countering her allegations. And I thought it was just going to be a simple pro per, I'll represent
Right.
myself, fill out the forms. This is a no brainer. I increased custody 8 years ago. We haven't been back to court. There's no police reports, there's no issues. This should
Hmm.
be easy,
Right.
right?
You would
Why?
think.
I want to ask the court, I was all confident. Why is it that my child doesn't deserve, at this age, my 15-year-old doesn't deserve access to two loving parents, knowing that we've had a good 30, 33-67 split and this and that? Nope. Nope. I remember my wife saying, she said literally that she alleged about things that you're doing in our home when she hasn't been married to you in 13 years. And
Hmm.
again, I would have had to go in with a statement with my wife, and I did. I went in with character statements. They didn't listen, not one bit,
My
not at
my
all.
son's dad did the same thing, and we're in completely different states. So I mean, yeah.
Man.
And I was
And
never even married to him. I was barely
oh,
that was a
geez.
whole other back end story too, where I a whole other story. But yeah, I barely knew him. And so to think that this stranger came into my life and I've spent the last 15 years feeling silenced and abused, and not one
Man,
thing has helped.
that's a
And so,
long journey.
well, to think how evil that is, that someone can just pop into your life, and it's like, why me? Why did you pick me, that I became this target? I
Right.
barely knew you, and you just took hold, as if like, I'm going to choose you and I'm going to forever torment you and abuse you, and I love the control and power. That's essentially what it is.
There it is. Yeah, it is. It's the term narcissism gets kicked around a little bit these days, and
Yeah.
then there's the stuff that you're describing, the stuff that I know. It's the term is certainly being kicked back at me. Okay. I would ask my wife or my current child what they think, about that. It seems that, but at the same time, the idea that in facing a narcissist, you might have to be a narcissist. I'll accept that too, because I know that I don't engage with other people this way. There's one individual, and everybody that knows me well will say that. There's only one situation we see you not at ease, and it's when it involves that other party, or when that other party is somehow affecting your time or circumstance with your kids. And that's it. That's it. Outside of that,
Mhm.
sure. I'll decry injustice, and I can certainly debate, and I've got a strong voice. Um, but I'm easygoing, and peaceful.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
there are
and
those circumstances with that other party.
yeah. And
Yeah.
to your point, I even the mediator in my last case, I mean, this has been said, where the term narcissism, narcissist, narcissistic personality disorder, where they
Yeah.
get thrown around. And
Hmm.
so obviously to the point that, I've been through therapy. I've had a doctor who, when he came here, up and flew here, and a doctor talked to him in a
Wow.
hospital, other therapists, my therapist. So like, I do say it. I didn't start saying it till I was actually taught and told by professionals who are knowledgeable on this. So, but I do, there are a lot of people, which sucks because there are so many people that do throw the term around. So then
Yeah.
when you actually have a serious situation, like this has been proven, this is happening, like there's evidence, the narcissistic personality, they really intentionally
Yeah.
target you. I mean,
Yeah.
they intentionally, the child is not their best interest. They just want that power, control, abuse. They have this hold over you, and that's the target. That's what they're doing. So like, there is
Yeah.
a difference between, oh, I went through this horrible situation, it sucked, blah blah, blah, he's a narcissist, compared to, very
Yeah. Yeah.
extreme. And so there's definitely differences, and I do wish sometimes people would be a little more careful. I hate to say that, but I do wish we would be a little more careful with terms sometimes. And maybe you're not always knowledgeable. That's one thing. Not everyone is always knowledgeable on it. That happens, but when it's
Oh,
truly happening, I wish it were taken more seriously with courts or whoever's
man.
involved,
I'll give you a quick
because that
example.
that makes
Yeah.
dangerous situations.
Well, and it's so pervasive that, and I think you've
Hmm.
alluded to this. It's big punches, and it's also a ton of little jabs. Okay, and I'll give you an
Hmm.
example. Um, for anybody that might be listening, of what a narcissistic trait or action might be. Going through court, you have to serve papers to one another before hearings, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I was doing it through certified mail, and it dawned on me once. Wait a minute. Unless I get a receipt, she can say that she never received it, even though, so yes, I can get the tracking number and show that it was delivered, but unless I get a receipt with her signature, she could say
Hmm.
that I didn't serve
Yeah.
her. So she tried that. So I went ahead, the next court hearing, paid for the little extra for the receipt. Okay.
Hmm.
Narcissist is never wants to be exposed. So when you
Right.
catch one in the wrong, that is the worst situation. That is the hardest thing you're going to be have to face. So she went ahead and told court again, nope, I never got served. And then I was able to produce her signature. Okay. Most
That
people,
happened. Yeah.
yeah, most people in their right mind are going to go, oh. A narcissist is going to say, he must have forged that. I'm going to open a case with the postmaster general.
Yeah. I
It's
never
right
had
there in
it
front of her face.
exactly. And that was
Oh,
smart of you. But again,
but
we have to think
that's
of
what it
those
yeah,
things.
that's what
Yeah.
a nar and it what it doesn't allow you to do is move forward in good faith. And that's one thing that I've been dumb about. I should have been litigious this entire time, you know. I should have kept every receipt, every text, every email. It's almost like and you know, you have to keep a file ongoing. But once you start doing that, you are moving away from any sort of amicable situation. Now you've embraced full narcissistic relationship existence.
Hmm.
And you know, so it's like again, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I've made
Yeah.
the mistake of not being litigious enough. Not that I'm recommending that anybody keep do it that way. Unfortunately, if you're dealing with a narcissist, they're going to bring up receipts from 10 years ago, knowing that the law might allow them to, and that who keeps more than records for more than 7 years? Not even the IRS. You know, not
Yeah.
even your tax documents do you keep more than 7 years. So these are the things that
I
the little traits of narcissism that you know people just don't understand enough when they kick that
mhm.
term around, man. When you're dealing with a narcissist, wow, it is infuriating. It's impossible to
Yeah.
get any sort of grip on a shared true to life reality. It's
Hmm.
impossible.
I learned early on, I mean, obviously we went into a court case immediately, like when my son was born, right, as a newborn.
Mhm.
So like I learned very early on from that lawyer, document everything, evident.
Yeah.
I've learned all these years from every single person involved, document, document. So I have, and I've been good at, I mean, I did document everything, but I hate the point that
Yeah.
it is good to have that for evidence on the
Yeah.
back end to know like he could do
Yeah.
anything at any point and I have evidence. But on the other hand, I after years of going through it, it almost felt like if I have all these things in my phone or if I have all these
Yeah. Yeah.
evidence, I hate to look at it because it brings
Yeah.
it back up. And that's trauma. That's traumatized. So it's like it's just hard because you don't want that to be on your mind all the time. You want peace, you want to live your life and not be stuck in this, but you always have to try and watch out for yourself and you have to think of those things because you're living this life controlled by this other person who could do anything at any point. And it
Yep.
just sucks. We can't live a normal life then or enjoy something without them trying to twist it and make it what it's not. But the serving thing, I never mailed it myself like you did. So I had servers each time
Mm.
through my lawyer, and so, but I just the point that you mentioned how you thought of needing a receipt. Well, I mean, I had a server who could attest to it and told my lawyer, but they went to serve the stepmom one time, not for the dad this time. It was for the stepmom to say she needed to appear in court and or talk, whatever it was, a
Hmm.
subpoena. And so the server person called and told my lawyer as well. And so we had it documented that even going to the door, I don't remember if she answered or if it was her mom, how they explained it, but there was two women and one was her. They have a picture too when they go to, be like, okay, this is her, this is who we're looking for. She's right there. And they lied straight to the server's face. No, she's not here. She's not home. As she was standing at the door right
Right
there,
there.
the server was telling me on the phone, like, I had the photo. I looked at her and I was like, are you serious? Like, this is you. And she still lied, was like, she's not home. And she's like, here you go, and served her. So it just blows my mind that it's like they can have evidence in your face and you still lie. It's
And
beyond me.
man, and it's you know when you're on this end of things, you're fully exposed, you know, and it's like there's a new reality that gets created, and now the other party feels like they're above it all, like they can do
Yeah.
whatever they want, and
Hmm.
it's really frustrating, you know. I mean that I could use much stronger language there, but um and it's
And they seem
impossible.
to,
It
yeah, they
yeah, they
truly
thrive
believe
on it, they
it.
like it.
Yeah. And they
No,
seem to
yeah, they like
truly
it.
believe
Yeah.
that they
Oh, for
have
sure.
this
For
power and
sure.
treat you that way. And it's delusional. And for a normal person, you don't operate that way, you don't think that way. So to be thrown into that, it's hard to know how to navigate, how to process, how to get through it. What do I do? Because we don't think that's the same way they do. So it's
Yep.
impossible to know how to handle it.
Yeah, it really is. In my circumstance, again, I consider myself fortunate. I see my kids, and my only answer has been, like I said earlier, to completely sever the ties. I mean,
Yeah.
um, if there's an email sent with some information and I can note the information and it doesn't require a response, I don't respond. Um,
Yeah.
Usually, if I respond, it's going to turn into some back and forth.
Exactly.
It's never like, you know, uh, I can say just
I
yes or no without some sort of, you know, this
yeah.
debate or argument. So at this point, I can't even communicate. It's got to be
Mhm.
short and simple, email only. Um, literally blocking from phone and text because I don't want that. And if my kids they're old enough, they can just call me. So it's like
Mhm.
really just limiting all aspects of that communication. But I can
Yeah.
do that because I do have access to my kids do have access to me. And I know that a
Mhm.
lot of folks aren't in that position, and so you're forced to be in contact with this other individual who
Yeah.
it seems to live to bother you and to alienate, and that's just horrible. That's horrific.
Yeah. It got so bad to the point that, my lawyer said I was in danger, my therapist said I was in danger. So I would never think like I would they even advise like don't ever travel there. Don't ever go where he is because the behavior, the nature, like we all believe you're in danger. And so for me though, it just sucked because all these years I've spent reaching out, communicating, asking to know, asking to be informed what is going on, what is he doing, what is, anything at all in his life. And now to be to the end of it, to see how it all played out of like, I did nothing but try to be there and see my son and be painted this whole other picture. And it's actually, I mean, he's older, not like over being a minor, but like older teen now, almost 15. So it's to the point where it's like we're pretty much over. If we went in another case that can take years, he'd be
Yeah,
18 then, so that'd be pointless. So we're pretty much over um where it's knowing that it's over and it's like it ended where I actually had to back off because it got dangerous and it's like why
mhm,
would that be the answer that a loving parent who has tried and tried has to be the one to just step back and for my own son's safety because
yeah,
he would be retaliated on not just my safety but not knowing what's
absolutely.
going to happen and it's just horrible to be like I'll reach out now and then try to reach out say I love you hope you're but I don't I communicate as little as possible. I don't respond to his dad if unless there's a dire need because that's all it was. It's just abusive language. It's just
Yeah.
abuse. It's setting you up to bring you back into that and that's all it is. The other day I responded to something and that's what he did. It turned into a whole other thing and it's like this is why even for my own peace, which I hate to say that, but for my own peace like I had to remove myself now from the situation and I can't
Yeah.
ask to see him. I can't ask anything anymore, really. It's awful that it can end up that way and they have that power to like destroy a parent-child relationship.
What's your thought for the future? I mean, you think that once your son's 18, you have a chance at reclaiming.
I'm I'm really hoping so. I mean, I
Me too.
do know so when he was 14 or 13, almost 14, this is when it started happening. That's when his dad really because he had already moved here. And so after that, that's when his dad really and his stepmom and the family, everyone helps them. And so they really got a hold of him and like basically like how dare you want your mom? How dare you move to your mom? And like
Oh
retaliated
man.
and he started changing to where he changed and started I hate to say it but also started showing the behaviors of his dad.
Mm,
He started mimicking his dad, right? And so he became against me except I know that's survival mode. I know there's trauma. I
Yeah,
know this
yeah,
is, I know
yeah.
there's reasons. I'm not sitting here blaming my son, but it becomes dangerous in a situation like that because that parent has full hold of the child and they'll do what that parent is telling them to do to you. Even if they feel bad, even if they don't want to,
Mhm.
because they know they'll
It,
get in trouble if they don't, and it's a whole
it's
worse
harmony
thing
on
from
the other
that.
side. It's alignment. They don't have to see you.
Exactly.
So he wants to be in alignment with his dad. He doesn't have to see
Yeah.
you go through what you're going. That's so
Right. And
tough. That is so tough.
it basically got to the point now that I'm just really hoping, I know he's in there. I know my son is in there. I can tell the difference usually when it's my son or when it's them pretending to be my
Mhm.
son. We've been through it before over the years and shown it as evidence. And so I do know he's reached out a few times and I love you, I miss you, but then it turns, I feel like maybe they catch it or see it or whatever is happening because the conversation will turn and be against me or be like, I don't
Yeah.
want to see you, even though it just said, I love you and miss you. Oh, I have to ask dad. And so it will
Yeah.
turn. So it's like, I know he's in there. I know he misses me and wants to see me. So I'm just hoping over time we, somehow are able to get back to that.
That's so hard. That's so hard.
It is. Yeah.
And as I hear you talking about it, even with my kids, it again, it's that pattern of course, there's unconditional love. I know we have a relationship, and then there's those obstacles. There's that wedge in there
Hmm.
where you're only allowed to express it a certain percentage of the time. You can't embrace it.
Yeah.
I know that I'm being, and it's interesting. I've asked them, unfortunately, I've been like, so what's the bad mouthing for? Like, what's the? Can you explain to me what your mom's concern is? Like, is it that I want to see you guys? That's a concern. Like, that shouldn't
Hmm.
be a concern, but it is.
Yeah.
It's so strange the way
And
um we choose to
yeah,
control these kids. Go ahead.
yeah. I hate to think of, to that point that just to even be like, "Oh, I want to see you. I miss you." I can't even say that now because I have to think, we've seen enough times where the conversation turns and so he prior to that with all the abuse and stuff, there was things he said to the school, statements my son made. So knowing abuse happens, that just a whole backstory to that, but knowing these things happen, I have to also think, I mean, I had to step back so much now because it's like, I know if I reach out and I'm like, I miss you, I love you, I want to see you, what are they going to do to him because of that? Because
Yeah,
he could be like, I love you, I miss you. What are they doing to him because
yeah,
of that?
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's chill.
but then because of that, they could also twist it and be like,
Uh,
oh, look, the mom isn't seeing him. The mom isn't even trying to see him. The mom won't come here to see him. And that's not the case at all. They are able to twist every little thing. And it's really mind blowing.
you reminded me of, again, when does it all start?
Right.
Right at the beginning, right? So here I've got my FaceTime set up with my little kids. 6 and 4-year-olds don't know how to FaceTime. So
Hmm.
you're sitting there, and it's like, hey, so what are you guys having for dinner? And then the next day, I get a call from my attorney. Are you questioning your children? "Oh, I got a call from the other party's attorney saying that you're pressing them on questions. Like what? Like, did you ask them what they're having for dinner? I did. That's a
Oh
problem?
my
Well, yeah,
goodness.
because now you're trying to say, I'm asking them what is right and what they're about to do
Yeah.
because they're kids and they don't speak in other abstractions. Like, I, man, I remember, I read my son his first novel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, over FaceTime. I invented games and things
Yeah.
because if I talked to them about how their day was and somehow their mom didn't like that, I was gonna get killed on that. And
Hmm.
every little tidbit, they take every little inch of access away and they erode it, and they are mad when you have any
Yeah.
access or any. Yeah, it's like they're competing for sole affection of the child.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
really, that's so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
it really it chills me. It frustrates me for you. It frustrates me for me. It certainly frustrates me for the kids in between who just they want to know their parents,
Hmm.
and it's not. It's obstructed. It's limited.
Yeah.
It's restricted. That's so
FaceTime,
tough.
they can definitely take hold. It happened to me too. FaceTimes,
Yeah.
they control that as well. I mean, there was so many different things they did over the years to, because when they would be exposed, like if we were in a court case at the time, I could show the evidence to my lawyer and then present it. And so then they'd have to, if they're exposed with something, they would be enforced to, not do that. But then they can find something else and
Yeah.
twist it. So like it didn't matter. They were always finding something else to do or something else to sabotage our FaceTime or calls or not allow it or
Oh my God.
anything at all. They always found a way.
If I
And
was a
it's like,
minute late,
why? Yeah.
yeah, if I was a minute late, I would miss it. But at any point in time, we're gonna have to push the face call back because it's like, wait a minute, we can't have it both ways. Like, I'm okay with working together, but
Hmm.
you're just working to restrict. You're finding any excuse to restrict.
Hmm.
And then even saying that is very difficult for the narcissist because again, you're exposing the truth, and they know it.
Yeah.
You're catching them red-handed, and yeah, it's every tidbit. It's all these little, micro alienations, we'll call them, since it's a popular term these days. But it is. It's from the top to the bottom, bottom to top. These people just find a way to create that wedge, and the kids
Hmm.
in the middle suffer.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
They really do.
I feel for your situation. I'm glad to be able to share and do this today. I'm
Yeah.
very appreciative that you're creating this platform. And again,
Thank you.
I encourage anybody out there listening, if you're in this situation, I just try to find a way to reduce the conflict and know that every effort you do to reduce the conflict initially is likely going to lead to greater conflict being thrown at you from the other party. That's the
Yeah.
way behavior works. They don't want to get along. They want
Hmm.
to be on top of you. They want to have their knee on your neck. They want to be in control. And if you play
Yeah.
into that, you're going to be miserable. If you don't, you'll be less miserable. You might have a chance at actually modeling the harmony, the peace that's required, and truly making it all about the kids. I mean,
Hmm.
these are kids, and if there's allegations against you, do your best to prove them wrong, to counter them, and know that it's not going to be enough, unfortunately. Once certain words get said and put on court documents, you can never take those back, ever. Maybe you can get them
Yeah.
redacted. Somebody's still going to remember. But, so just, yeah, you're fighting a losing battle. It feels that way. I can proudly say that I think I still fight my battles, but I'm in a good spot. And I think my kids are better for it. And I think it's an endless journey, right? So in your situation, you're just waiting for that clock to keep ticking, and hopefully that
Yeah.
won't be the only thing that'll change it. Maybe you'll get it before that. Kids start getting older, they start realizing what's happening, and as much as
Hmm.
that might lead to a reunification, I also feel for those kids who now have to look back at all those years and go, "Oh man, that you can't make that time up."
Yeah.
Like I get
Well,
sorry. I get chills even just
yeah.
saying that. That's scary. Yeah.
Well, and to think about reunification at any point in time, let's say my son turns 18 and comes around freely, is able to come see me and on his own. And it's so from this last court case when it ended, knowing where it's headed, that I'm going to be cut off, knowing how, he already made it clear he was going to pretty much not let him see me. And so
Right.
just stepping back and knowing what's really important now is that I work on healing, that which I had been, but it continue to, and
Good.
that
Good.
I'm this safe space for if my son comes around at some point, a child is not going to come back to a really toxic environment. You don't want to be taken over by the anger, the emotions, the hate, the whatever you're
Yeah.
feeling,
Right.
even though you have every right to be upset, obviously, but it's important to try and overcome that and work on ourselves to be that safe healing space because the child is going through things and they will also be affected, and he will probably need help with something, or any child going through that will need help. And hopefully you can be that guiding light for them. You're healed, you've been working on healing. You can now help the child at that point, if they come around, if that happens. But so that's just an important thing to have to think about.
It's the way you put it is I mean that's something that I've struggled with in terms of showing wearing my emotions on my sleeve. And I think that you state it very well. I think it's about grace under pressure. I think that, at most, if you allow your kids to see about 10% of that frustration just so they know you're human. But the other 90% of the time you have to be, just graceful. And, the notion that, somebody's constantly, consistently trying to harm you, but you have to wish for their well-being because your child depends on that too.
Yeah,
It's just such a mind bend.
it is.
Man, it's heart-wrenching. It's like this dual existence, and it's so difficult to again know that I have to actively protect myself against a threat, but I have to make sure that that threat is well preserved because my kids depend on it. And
Hmm.
that's tough. It's tough for parents experiencing that. That's really hard. Really
And I
hard.
think sometimes a parent can feel guilty because it's like your whole life is your child comes first, you're doing everything you can for your child. So to flip that and be on this other side of like, as if you're putting yourself first, and because you need to work on yourself, you need to heal, you need to be
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
emotional safe space for them, but it can come with guilt because it might make you feel like you're giving up on your child because they're not your
Yeah.
full priority now, and so I just want parents to know it is very important to work on yourself. You need to take care of yourself and work on healing. It's also important for your child. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard people, and I've felt it too, guilt, and other people have said that. And
Yeah.
so I just think it's a very important note to make, that you deserve peace, you deserve to
Yep.
work on healing, you deserve to care for yourself.
My oldest, my son, has said in so many words that to me. Um, it was eye opening in him saying like he made a joke about like I wish you'd taken up golf at some point, and he said it because I think that would have taken your mind off of pursuing us so actively. And he was making clear it's not that I worry that you pursued us. I'm
Yeah.
very thankful for that. But he was very much saying like I see how hard that's been for you. I
Yeah.
wish you had taken up golf so you could just be out there walking and hitting that ball and
Right.
not
Like something
worrying
for
about us.
yourself.
Right, right,
Hmm.
right. And then he realized he's like, you got your things. You work hard and stuff. But it was a very heartfelt sentiment that I
Yeah.
appreciated. And I also know that what he was saying is that there was at times where maybe my fervor was too much for him too. He wishes that I hadn't been, so strong because that probably also created some conflict within the alienation. So
Yeah.
it's quite a dance, man. It's quite a choreography that we dance in
Yeah.
this alienation game, and the fight is worth it because there's a child out there who is asking, where's my mom, where's my dad. I can
Yeah.
guarantee that. And so, as much as anybody out there listening, we feel the pain, we relate to it, we understand it, and it's worth every ounce of it. It really is.
Yes.
I wish I didn't have to endure it, um, but I do. It's my plight, and I think my kids are better for it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Woo.
agree.
I've
I
been holding this
No,
one back
that's
all conversation. It
oh.
just got me here at the end.
Yeah. Got you right at the end. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Wow.
really appreciate you coming
Time
on,
flies,
and
huh?
yeah, yeah. I enjoyed our conversation today. I'm grateful that you came on and shared openly, and
Thank
I
you.
think
Yeah.
a lot of good points made today that will connect with a lot of other parents experiencing it, and hopefully share some knowledge to people who aren't aware. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thank you. I can't thank you enough for putting this stuff out there, and
yeah.
I wish you the best on your journey, and you know where to find me now. Anything that I
Oh, of
might be able to
course.
offer you or any listeners, please feel free to reach out. If you don't mind, since we're
Yes.
on a podcast,
Share
I
your
do a behavior
podcasts.
analysis podcast, ABA on tap. It's more geared toward professionals or maybe parents who have kids on the spectrum who are dealing with behavior challenges. We interview a lot of professionals in the field. We give a lot of good, actionable information. And then maybe more related to our conversation today, I also have it's the Effin' Fabulous Fathers podcast. It's
Love
spelled
it.
capital FKN, Fathers Podcast. We've got about 10 episodes up, so it's pretty fresh. And it's me and my nephew, who's a young father with two young boys, and he sort of talks about his challenges and his experience as a first time dad and now a second time dad with two boys. And I sort of share the other end of the spectrum. At some point, we'll
Yeah.
talk about being a divorced dad. Maybe I'll give you a heads up on that in case
Yeah.
some of people want to listen. But I certainly value parenting all around. I work with parents professionally to work with their children. I am, very proud of my role as father. My kids call me Papa. I love it. I would never change that for anything. I'm very sorry for what my older kids have gone through, and it's so, it's so hard for me to work in and around families and do things so right, and then yet face this challenge personally. But again, it's my kids are worth it. They're worth every second of
Yeah.
my strength and my effort. And again, I really wish you luck on your journey and thank you for
Thank
providing me this
you.
time. We talked about an hour and
Of
here we are at
course. Oh
2 hours.
yeah. Yeah. No, time flies. What,
Yeah.
real quick, where can they find your podcasts at?
Anywhere, Spotify is
Okay.
Apple Podcasts and Spotify are going to be your best, but they're both of them are
Okay.
are linked anywhere you can find a podcast. So
Okay, great. Yeah, anyone listening, please go subscribe, follow, listen in on
thank
his.
you.
I'm gonna do the same. And definitely keep in touch with you. And I know you're
Please.
currently still in court, so I wish you all the best. And
Thank you.
I
Thank
I
you.
know
Think about me on
yeah, it's a
Monday. Hopefully
struggle,
Monday
so
afternoon. Yeah, we arrive at an amicable settlement, and hopefully that allows us to embark on a new journey where now we've more clearly severed, these dissolution
yeah.
ties, which legally can be tricky. I don't know where that leaves us. I know it'll leave me in a much more peaceful place, and hopefully our daughter gets a graduation party with both of her parents.
Yeah,
I'd be
I
okay with
hope
that.
so too.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's so great of you to say. And again, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you
And
for.
I will definitely keep in touch with you.
Thank you for listening to You Can't Break Us. If this episode spoke to you, subscribe and leave a review. Every voice matters. Every story counts. If you or someone you know has a story to share, email youcan'tbreakuspodcast@gmail.com to connect with me. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, and never stop using your voice. Because no matter what they've tried to take from us, they can't break